So thank you all so much for participating. And that is the end of our games and icebreaker. Okay. So now let's get on with this. So please, as you join the webinar, because I don't know, I just cannot see how people are joining. But as you join the webinar, please try to introduce yourself in the chat. Just tell us where you're listening from, where you're joining us from, which country you're in, where you are, and we just love to, meet you. All right. So before we continue, on my screen right now, there's just this quote that I saw and I really loved it. I really loved it, to be honest. Talking about, the way the world is just really noisy right now. And we have to be very clear about what we want people to know about us. We have to be very clear. We have to have this vision of who we are, who we want to be, and where we are going, because the world is so noisy. If anyone has a different opinion about the way the world is going right now, if you have a different opinion about, maybe you think that there's no noise out there, if you think the progression, the way the world is going is calm, is quiet, is peaceful, please let me know in the chat. I would really love to, probe further. I would really love to know where your mindset is, where your head is at, but I do feel like we are in a world where it's just so noisy. It's really noisy, noisier than ever before. And we'll get to understand what we mean by, noise in the context of this webinar today. We'll get to understand that later. But there's just a lot going on right now. Everyone is speaking, everyone is sharing, everyone is saying one thing or the other. And there's just this urge to want to copy or to want to do things so that you can also feel involved, so that you can also feel accepted, so you can also feel like, oh, I'm here, right? So that's the premise of this webinar, and we'll get to know more, we'll get to understand that a lot more later. Okay, so this is just a quote that I saw and I really love this, and I just thought to share with you guys. But yes, let me move on. So I'm just going to introduce myself very briefly, and I think that a lot of people here, most people here might already know me, and some of you might not. I think a lot of people will probably know me from YouTube because of the YouTube videos that I've been making for the past 2 years now. I think I've been on YouTube for the past 2 years. But anyways, I'm just going to introduce myself regardless. So my name is Yemi Ayodeji, but you can call me Yemi. I like to be called Yemi. Yes, just because it's easy, and it's just easy for people to remember. To mention my name, I consider myself a very happy person, a joyful person, and I'm the author of this ebook, A Smart Girl's Guide to Freedom. And I'm just going to talk about the progression and my journey to this point. So, like I said, I'm just a very happy girl, but sometimes I found myself very clueless at certain points in my life, very clueless, that I really needed guidance. I really needed somebody, like a woman figure to be specific, to just kind of tell me what to do and how to navigate things and how to run my life, especially when I make mistakes. I just need that person to just call me to order, just tell me that, okay, this is how you take it up from here, so I've made some mistakes, I've learned from them. But one thing I've always been through to is the fact that I would never allow myself to stay down in whatever mistakes. I'll not allow myself to just stay in that point because I've made a mistake. And that has just been something that I've carried on through life. And I think I got this mindset when I read this book, Gifted Hands. And the story of the mom just really I was just so fascinated by the story of the woman, because she was married to a man of God, a supposed man of God, but then he wasn't who he claims to be. And then she just had a tough time in that home, and then she had to leave. She made that decision to leave with her 2 kids. And when she left, she did a lot of work with herself. And reading that book when I was in secondary school, there was just something about that a story that just jumped at me at that point in my life, that I said to myself that, you know what, whatever it is that I'm going through in life, I would always get up. I would always move forward. I would always challenge myself to go forward, whether I have guidance or not, whether I have somebody to support me or not, whether I have the tools, even if I don't know what I'm doing, I would just always move forward. I'll always forge ahead. And through my journey in life, I've gone through moments where I didn't know, I was just clueless on, I didn't even know what I was doing with myself, basically. I was very opinionated. I just had this strong conviction that I was supposed to be doing more than I was doing. And I remember somebody saying to me that, oh, okay, you're not living up to your potentials. And I was really mad, really angry at that person, because I was like, what else am I supposed to be doing at this time? I finished like uni very early, around, I think I was 21 or thereabouts. 20, yeah, I think I finished university around 20 years old. And this person was telling me I'm not living up to my potentials. And I'm like, what else am I supposed to be doing? I'm just supposed to wait for NYC. If you're Nigerian, you know what that means. This year where you serve your country. But then I just held that word, what the person said to me, at the back of my mind. And then I went back to read that book that I loved, Gifted Hands Again. Went back to that. I got to that part, that mother's story. And I remember her saying to her son, that's Ben Carson. I remember her saying to her son that you're not living up to your potentials. And then I remember this person just said this to me. And I thought about, when the person said it, I thought the person meant it in a bad context, like, oh, the person is trying to be mean to me. But then reading it again in that book, like, it was just like, this woman cannot be telling she cannot be, insulting her child. She really meant it in a good way. And then I was able to connect the dots, but still I didn't know how to like live up to my potentials. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what else I could have, done at that time. And I was still living in Nigeria, by the way. And the person that said that to me is now my husband. So yeah, but I was really angry at him at the time. But I just continued having that word at the back of my mind that I need to live up to my potentials, but I didn't know how. And I remember just always going through things, reading books, doing that. But then it got to a point in my life when I started to grow in my relationship with God. And there was this particular time when I kept hearing it within me that to bear fruit, you need to bear fruit. You need to bear fruit. Like it just kept reoccurring in my heart that I need to bear fruit. And then I was just linking all of these things together that, okay, and I'm not living up to my potentials. I have to bear fruit. And I just remember, just really talking to God about it. Like, how am I supposed to bear fruit? Like, where is the how? Who is going to tell me how to bear fruit? And it was just, I just continued to, pray that prayer. And then I was just opening my heart up to whatever that comes to me. And I remember watching one particular day, this woman, Mrs. Funke Felix Adejumo. I remember watching her on YouTube that day. And I remember there was this, she was saying something that I cannot remember the particular conference that she was speaking, but I remember, her head in my mind that you're going to be this woman one day. And I said it out loud to myself again. You're going to do what this woman is doing someday. You're going to be like this woman for your generation. And I just like gained consciousness. I just go back to myself and I told myself, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. No. I was just like giving myself so many reasons why this shouldn't be me. And this was around 2018, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And I remember then 2019, I got pregnant for my second child. And it was then it just came heavily on me that what am I supposed to do now? Like, what am I doing? Like, I need to like leverage my power. And then I started to just listen to what God is telling me in that moment. And I remember just hearing clearly what I was supposed to do. And that led to me starting a YouTube channel, writing a book, and up until this point, the journey has changed. The name has changed from girl to mom. The vision has changed. Not like changed, but transformed. It became bigger. But that's where we are now. And that's just my entire journey up until this point. And my goal is to live an abundant life, because that is what God has, ordained for me before I even came to this world. So my goal is to live an abundant life. And that for me means a life of service and excellence. Like, in all I do, I make sure that I serve others and I'm excellent. I intend to enjoy my life. I intend to live my best life. I don't intend to fail in any area of my life. I want my career to be solid. I want my vision to be intact. I want my family to be all right. I want to have a loving relationship with my husband and my kids. I just want everything to be fine with me. So that's my goal. That's all I am here for. Okay. So that's me in not a nutshell. I feel like I've said a lot, but yeah, that's just me, to just give you guys a background into who I am and my journey. Okay, so let me move into the why for the brand On a Fresh Start, which will soon become a company by God's grace very soon. So the why behind On a Fresh Start came from again, was inspired by God. Like I said, I've already mentioned that, was inspired by God, but also the journey of a lot of women around me, a lot of people that I've seen. I attended a girls only school, secondary school. I was privileged to hear a lot of stories from my friends about their moms. Personally, I had an experience with my mom as well. I feel like my mom was that person that I didn't get to know. I didn't get to, I didn't know her. That's just it. I had limited time with my mom because I didn't know she was my biological mom for a very long time. And then when I eventually knew she was my mom, we didn't have a whole lot of time together before she died. So I don't talk about this so much because it's just a part of my life that I just don't want to. I think I'm still like processing that part of my life. But every time I remember her being very joyful. Every time she sees a woman, a lady, she just was always concerned about the person's look, about the makeup, not like heavy makeup the way we used to do now, but she's always like, you, why are you not wearing earrings? You, why are you not doing this? I remember she used to like make me, take this cod liver oil thing just because she thinks it will help my skin glow. And I just remember seeing her as a very happy, joyful woman. But then beneath that, I knew she was going through a lot. I knew she had her fears, she had her concerns, she had so much worries. I could just tell. I could just tell. But I would look back and I would remember her, and I wished that things were different for her. I would wish that she had help. I would wish that she had support. Growing up, I'm trying as much as possible not to be emotional about this whole thing. But then I always look back and then wish that I feel like she had more support. So I remember like, talking to God again about this. I would just cry, and then every time I would just hear this, that's where the vision lies, to provide that help for people, to provide that help for women, to take a U-turn in their life whenever that time comes, to have a fresh start, to begin again, even when they've had like a bad time, a worst history, whatever it is. I know somebody's joining, whatever it is that, women are going through. I remember even in uni, in my university, I stayed with a lot of girls. They had similar issues with their mothers. Some I cannot even talk about, I do not even want to talk about that now, but it was so the dot was just like connecting. And every time I will think about these things, what keeps coming to me is provide that support for people, because this is not an African problem. This is not a Nigerian problem. It's a global problem. Women have that thing where when it's time for them to take a fresh start, when it's time for them to take a U-turn, they don't have that support. They don't have that guidance. They don't have the tools. Or where am I going to begin? I've had personal experiences in the past couple of years where I would hear people say, oh, where am I going to begin? When am I going to start? But really, that's the truth. Where are they going to begin? Where is the tools? Where is the resources? Where is the guidance? Where is the help? And that's the reason behind, that's the why behind On a Fresh Start, to provide support, to provide coaching, to provide that community, because we all need different things when we are about to embark on that fresh start journey. But one thing that is at the basis, at the bottom, at the foundation of it, is to know yourself, to know your power, to know your voice. Because we can talk about money, we can talk about people, we can talk about all that things that you need on your fresh start journey, but the most important thing is to find your voice, is to discover yourself, is to understand the power that God has given you. You already have a voice. You already have I don't want to use gifts, talent. You already have what it takes to live that abundant life inside of you, regardless of whether you're having a fresh start, or whether you're getting back up, or whether you've experienced loss, or whether you've experienced disappointment. You have that thing in you to begin again. So that's the why behind On a Fresh Start. And I hope I sent out a workbook for everyone who has registered for the webinar. So if you've not registered, if you don't have the workbook, that means you did not register, but you're still here, which is good. Thank you for joining. So we will find a way to like send out the workbook to you. And that's where we have all the vision. I put it there, and it's also on our website, the vision, the mission. If you want to know more, you can always go to the website to know more about that. Okay. So I feel like I've taken a lot of time, and I'm trying to stick to time. So yes, this is like the 3 important reasons in my mind why I feel like finding your voice is very crucial. Okay. One, it's finding your voice is your leverage, is what you've got. is what it's your way in, it's your way out of anything. It's your way into the abundant life that God has promised us. It's your way out of any difficult situation. Your voice is how you express yourself. Your voice is like your leverage, okay? And it's your voice that you use to thrive. We think about people who have a voice, and we would probably think about maybe for example, Chimamanda, you say, okay, maybe she has a voice because she's writing, or maybe we think about all these people, but at the core of it is their voice. At the center of it is what the way they express themselves. They found their voice and they're expressing it, and that's what makes them, thrive, and that's what makes them become a person of influence. Because without a voice, you cannot be heard. We've all like said things that what does everybody need? We mentioned acceptance. We mentioned like we mentioned all of those things, right? We mentioned love. I'm not sure if we mentioned that, but we mentioned a lot of things. But for you to communicate that to other people, you need a voice. And if you don't have a voice, you cannot be heard. So that's why we are doing this webinar today, for to help women find their voice, to discover that power that they've got inside them to thrive, to live that abundant life, regardless of the past, regardless of the history. Okay. So yes, finally, I've gotten to that point where we're going to be hearing from our guest speaker. Okay. I feel like I've been ranting and talking, and and I hope that all I've been saying makes sense. Please tell me in the chat if everything I've been saying makes sense to you, or if you've caught anything from that, or if you just feel a little bit better hearing any of that. Let me know in the chat. Let me know that I'm not just ranting and blabbing. Let me know in the chat what has stood out to you, maybe from my journey, maybe from the vision. You can just type it in the chat, okay? Maybe from the vision, whatever it is that has stood out to you, please let me know, okay? So, nobody's chatting. What's happening? Where are we? But anyways, to move forward, okay, I'm just seeing them. We all need support. Yes, we all need support. My voice is my leverage. Thank you so much. Your voice is your leverage. Your voice is how you express yourself. Yeah. Okay, so without taking so much time, I want us to hear from our guest speaker, and I'm just going to introduce her very quickly. And I feel like I really love this woman. I love her so much. And I think one thing that drew me to her is the calmness in her voice. Like I could literally sleep well just listening to her. Honestly, that was the very first thing that drew me to her, watching her YouTube videos, and I just love the way she would articulate and put her thoughts together and just pass the message. It was just so beautiful for me. Honestly, I just found it really, really, it was just so brilliant for me. So her name is Chantal Injila. She's originally from, she's from Cameroon, not originally. She's a Cameroonian, and she's currently in the US. She stays in the United States of America with her family. She's a mother of 3 beautiful children. I'm not sure if she has 2 girls or 2. I know she has 1 girl and 2 boys. Yes, I'm not sure if I'm mixing it up. Yeah, but I know she's a mom of 3, and she's a skilled nurse, a registered nurse. She's a clarity coach. That's the part I love so much about her, and the way she teaches. So beautiful. Anyways, she's just so I don't even know what else to say, but I'm really excited that she's here today. And I just need to put it out there that she's the kind of person that when you share a vision with her, when you share something with her, she goes the extra mile. She's called to pray with me for this webinar. She's called to give words of encouragement. She's called to I'm just like, this is kind of support that I'm becoming emotional again. This is the kind of support that I look forward to having with women. Like I've not had a lot of women support me on my journey, and I think that's what is so beautiful. Oh my god. Yeah, so I just love it. I just love it. So yeah, that's why I'm really excited to have her speak today. So let me not talk too much. I know I'm getting there again where I start to talk too much, but let me not talk too much. I want us all to just pay attention, have an open mind, open up our hearts to listen to what she's saying, even the things that she's not saying. I want us to just like connect the dots, just open up our minds to hearing all she has to say. Okay, are we ready? Let me know in the chat. Are we all ready? Say something in the chat if you're ready. Say something in the chat if you are ready. I can't see anything. I can't see anything. If you are ready, she's not going to say anything. If you guys Okay, yes, we are ready. I am ready. Oh, thank you, Ugone. I can see your chat. You're here. Thank you, Abimbola, for joining. Thank you all. Yes, she's also saying she's ready. Okay, yes. So, yes, thank you all. I can see that now. We are really ready. Okay. So I'm just going to mute myself and just wait. I'm going to stop sharing at this point and just wait for her to begin. Okay,
Right.
yes.
Hello, ladies. I'm always excited to be among women, but I'm even more excited and just so grateful and honored. Yemi, in fact, you've introduced me better than I can introduce myself. And you're one of those few people who actually made me start to love my voice. We're talking today about voices, right? Start to love my voice. You're going to hear more about my story, but if there's something that I didn't really like growing up was also my voice. And it's funny today that when I started my YouTube channel, one of the very first few things that people would reach out to me to talk about or say was my voice. And that's just to tell you that you carry something that you probably don't even know that you do. And so I am before we even get into looking at voice here, we are here to talk about finding your voice in a noisy world. But before we even get into it, some things I even wanted to say, Yemi has already said it, and so I'm not going to take time into that. That she has already established the fact that we are living in a noisy world. We are living in a noisy world. And sometimes we struggle, we ask ourselves, do I even have a voice also? Or maybe you think you've found your voice, and there are times you ask yourself, am I just adding to the noise? Does my voice really matter? What is the outcome of my voice? What is it adding or contributing? Am I just adding to the noise? Those are some questions I've asked myself sometimes. Like, I don't want to be busy going nowhere fast. you know, am I just adding to the voice? So I believe that by the end of this webinar today, you will not only find your voice, but you see that your voice matter, or let me say, you will use it in a way that it matters. But before we get into that, I want to say a few key things here. The first thing I want to say is that show up for yourself today. It's amazing how many times we complain and we say, I wish things were different, or we say, I'm stuck, I feel lost. But every day we have opportunities to show up and we don't. First, I want to congratulate you because going and sitting and registering for this webinar, that was a showing up that you did. And many times people have signed up and not shown up, right? You sign up and you don't show up, but you signed up and you showed up. So that is you showing up for yourself. But there's a last part of it, which would be being present here today. You understand? So even if you had your videos on, it would even be more beautiful. I would love that. But considering that you may be multitasking or doing other things, if you don't have your video on, make sure that you're present. Show up for yourself. Many times we want some magic wand to be spinned around, but things changed for me when I started showing up for myself when nobody's watching. I showed up for myself when I didn't see the rewards immediately. I showed up for myself when nobody was applauding me. So, mamas or sisters or daughters or wives, right? You're somebody's daughter, you're somebody's mom, you're somebody's wife, maybe, you're somebody's neighbor, maybe somebody's friend. For you to take off time on a Saturday, I'm a mom, I know what that means. So I appreciate you and I know that you have shown up. So be present, be fully present till the end, and you'll be happy and proud of yourself that you showed up. Another thing I want to say is that some things you have known before, some words you have been hearing being thrown out there, intentionality, purpose, all of those things. I want you to create one small folder right now in your mind and just store those things in there. Let's just have a clean slate. Because I've noticed that many times we get so familiar with certain things, goals, purpose, intentional, to the point where we hear but we don't listen. So if you don't just put what you kind of think those things are, not because I'm going to give you the best definition here or something new, but just so that you're going to get a fresh thing. That's the way by the way, I read a book or I study the Bible. I act like I've never seen it before. And that's the way I get something fresh to add to what I already have. So create a little folder right now in your mind and put some of those things you have been hearing so that you can just hear them afresh and differently. And so let's get into the voice. And my eyes on the clock. Yemi already warned me about time. And you know us, I'm a teacher by calling, not like teacher in a school, but teacher by calling. And we can turn to want to lay a foundation and put things layer by layer by layer. I'll try my best to like just keep things real fast and quick so that you get what you have to get from here. And you know what? Get into action. What's more important is the action part, right? So again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you, Yemi, for having me here. I do not take it for granted, that you, my friend, my sister, is going to give me this platform to and trust that I can share my own voice, and impart another sister with. So let's establish first things first, that what is really a voice. We're talking about voice. I'm using my voice. What is really a voice? If you're looking at it just biologically, it is the sound that I'm making out, right? That comes from my vocal cord and come out in any form. It could be in the form of a song. It could be me expressing something. That is just the physical voice. But we're looking at voice here today, going a little bit more in depth. And we are going to see that, look at a voice more like a tool. A voice is a tool that transports your ideas, your opinions, your desire, your knowledge, things that are within you to the outside. It does not just transport it to the outside, but it's transporting it to the outside world where it can provide solution for somebody. That is the voice. Is that tool that is transporting what is within to what is outside. And that already clearly tells you that if my voice is just a tool to transport, then there must be something within for it to bring out. If not, then it becomes a noise. That's why we have a lot of noise in the world today. But having a lot of noise in the world today doesn't mean that every voice out there is meaningless noise. If there is nothing in there, you would use that tool to bring out nothing. If there's something in there, you use that tool to bring out something. So having an understanding that a voice is a tool, then I love the game that Yemi made at the beginning. What is it that we need and what is it that we have? So the very first thing I would like to establish here is that we all have that tool. We all have that voice. If you are alive and you are breathing, you have a voice. And I know somebody may be saying that, well, I'm hearing about voice here. I can't talk. I'm a shy person, So I didn't know that this seminar was going to be about public speaking. It's not about public speaking. It's not about you talking, out there. This voice is more than just this vocal, audible voice that you hear. Your voice, everyone have a voice. Your voice can be your action. Your voice can be your talent. Your voice can be your behavior. Your voice can be your response. And that is why we have the popular quote that says, actions speak louder than words. That's just to tell you that your action is the loudest voice. So don't be afraid here and say, oh my goodness, they're not talking about voice and I'm somebody who doesn't talk. Let me tell you, even my being on YouTube, my being on social media now, is one of those things that I believe, let me say this in quote, God tricked me into. Because he was waiting for this me. My original plan was just to blog. I was like, nobody's going to see me. Nobody's going to really hear my audible voice. And I'll just go behind this blog and I'll be good. And guess what? Even as I'm telling you today, I haven't started blogging. So your voice, but my voice is being heard. So your voice is beyond just the audible sound that is coming out from you. I have people who have impacted my life that have never really seen them. And to be honest with you, I don't know what they sound like in terms of audible voice. So don't even start discarding yourself and say they're talking about voice, then forget about me. I can even barely speak to save myself. Your voice is beyond these words that we are using. So you have a voice. What I'm trying to say is that you have a tool. You have something that can carry an idea from within you to the outside world. You have something that can carry an opinion from within you to the outside world, that can carry a beautiful idea, a solution from within you to the outside world. And so you have a voice. And the next thing you'll be asking yourself now is that, well, if I have a voice, if I have that transportation, that thing that can help me take something from inside to the outside, but I don't think I have anything inside me. I don't even think I have anything to, to put out there to the world that can bring solution to somebody, that can bring help to somebody. And that is what we want to just debunk all of those myths and misconceptions here. To establish the fact first that you have a voice. And that is why I like to always tell myself, even till today, for me to have started my journey, I had to open my eyes to say that I have a voice because I was created with a voice. You were created with a voice. Even I always love, let me read this quickly read this scripture to you, which is my favorite. I'm sorry, I may have to quote a few scriptures here and there for you here today. I don't know who you are and what you may believe in, but every human being believes that there is something or someone greater than them, beyond this. And for me, it happens to be the Almighty God. And so you would permit me to just read the scripture here. It says, in His grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. Right? You can doubt me, you can doubt Yemi, you cannot question God. You cannot doubt Him. He has said Himself that He has given you a gift to do certain things well. There is something you can do so well. There is something you can do so well, and that is your voice. That is your voice. That there is just something you can put out there in a way that nobody knows. And I want to just say this about a voice. Establish the fact that first you have a voice, because we're told that we are created, we have been equipped and for a good work, and that we have been given some gifts within us for, to do certain things well. And we have also heard that word, if I can even pull us back again to a certain parable of a servant who gave talents to his a master who gave talents to his servant. He said he gave it to each servant according to their ability. So by the time you feel that, do I have a voice? Oh yes, I have it, but can I really do anything with it? If it has been given to you, it means you can rock that thing so well, because it was given to you according to your ability. That parable says he gave each person a gift according to their ability, which means you can rock that thing in a way that nobody else can. So you have a voice. Another thing I want to talk about the voice is that your voice is unique and that your voice carries an assignment. And those are the things I would like you to tell yourself. Say, I have a voice because I was created with a voice. My voice has a purpose. My voice has an assignment attached to it. And the third thing you tell yourself is that this assignment will be clear to me and I will walk in it. I have a voice. My voice carries a purpose and assignment. This assignment will be clear to me and I will walk in it. If you tell yourself these three things and believe in it, then you'll start to go forward. Now, these three things, I did tell myself these things because, again, my story is so similar to Yemi, in the sense that I remember a time, this aha moment for me was when I just had my last child. And by the way, Yemi was right. I have a girl and two boys. My first is 13, and I have two other amazing boys, 10 and 7. So when I had that little boy, so that only tells you that that's like 7 years ago, right? Almost 8, because he's almost 8 now. And I had the same kind of questions within me. I was like, the path they had told me about how success is, I felt like I was on the path of success. I felt like actually I was already a successful person, right? Because I had my degree. Growing up, I was an A student. I had my degree. I was blessed with an amazing, amazing husband. God had blessed me with 3 kids. By God's grace, we were living in a place where there were opportunities and, there was hope for the future. But then I was asking myself, then why is this emptiness within me? I even had to ask myself at some point, is this just some kind of greed? Is this just, why do I feel still some kind of emptiness within me? And I said, okay, you know what? I know that one day I'm going to find my purpose. No, no worries. Let the children grow, then I'm going to find my purpose. Or let me just keep going on in life. And then I'm going to find my purpose. Or when the kids are done and I go and get more degrees, then maybe I'll find that satisfaction. That thing is, it's gonna come. So there was always this thing of the fact that my purpose was somewhere in the future waiting for me, you know and like my purpose was also outside of me. I was going to find it somewhere. It's not here, it's not within me. I'm going to find it. And I would hear each time I saw people who were doing stuff, it was centered around their experiences. There was somebody who maybe went through a very horrible marriage, and so they were on the path of helping other women get out of their marriages, or somebody who had suffered some kind of abuse, and so they're helping other victims in that area. There were just so many people who had things about their stories. And I started seeing myself, I said, okay, maybe I will never find my purpose because I don't have one of those tragic stories. So let me just keep on. Maybe there is something horrible waiting for me in the future. And when that horrible thing happens to me, then I'm going to find my purpose, right? Because we say everybody has a story, but we live in a day and time where your story has to be dramatic, in order to attract people, to the point where even people desire peaceful lives, but at the same time don't want to, right? Let me bring some drama in so that I can make a story. This is funny, but it's the truth. I remember reading a story from a little girl who said she felt very different at school because kids had all this, until she had to start wanting to be juvenile, wanting to be someone crazy, just to create a story, to also create some kind of buzz around her. And I'm saying this and being very sensitive because there are people, of course, who go through things that they are not able to heal from. And I'm going to say more about that in here. But the point I'm trying to make is that whether your story is a very heavy one that sometimes you can't even voice it out, or whether you feel like your story may mean nothing to people, it looks like an everyday life, we all have a story. Yemi established that at the beginning. We all have experiences. If you live, you have an experience. Even when you have a smooth, full day, you experienced that day. You would bear with me that some of the deepest things that have happened to you have not even been loud to the outside. They're just in there. Sometimes you can't even express it. So even that person you think is living a sweet, quiet life may have experienced some things within that they cannot express. I'm just trying to establish that you have a story. Your story doesn't have to be dramatic for you to find purpose. You have a voice. Your purpose is not somewhere in the future waiting for you, because those are the misconceptions that were holding me down. But at this point where I had this boy, and I'm having all these questions, all this commotion within me, I stumbled on a video by the late Miles Monroe. And he said that your purpose is here and now. Your purpose is not in the future. Your purpose is within you. And he used this illustration of a mango seed. He said a mango seed has within it everything that it needs to be a fruitful tree. That little seed has everything within it to look like that mango tree that is outside. So even though it has not yet been put in the soil, even though it has not yet bared the stem, it has not had the branches, it has not had the fruit, what it takes for it to be that thing is already inside the DNA of that seed. It looks like a simple illustration, but that changed things for me. I held my baby, and the first thing that came to my mind was that I looked at my baby, I was like, this is true. This baby has not even developed teeth yet, cannot walk yet, but everything for this baby to grow to a human being was already within it at the time of conception. At the time of conception, the teeth were in there, the eyes were in there, everything was in there. The rest was just developing. Everything has its time. The time when it had to be breathing in fluid, and the time when if you put that baby in fluid, they drown. Have you ever thought about that? Someone who grows 9 months inside water, but if they come out of that stomach and you put them in water for once, in fact, that same water, if it gets into their lungs, it's a different story. That is just to tell you the dynamics of growth and changes. So honestly, we are here today even though we say find our voice, find our purpose, we're not actually finding it from outside us. We're more like trying to identify it, know what it's all about, and know how to channel it into the outside world for it to start doing the thing that it has to do. And that was the change for me. I told myself, and by the way, at this time, I'm talking, I was a stay-at-home mom. I had stopped work because when I had the last child, it was just so much for me. And I can say that a part of me was excited when I first just dropped everything down. I was like, hey, 3 kids work every day. It's just too much for me. I was like, God, now I can just rest and I can just breathe. But then my body started to mourn that loss of work. And I was set into all these crazy emotions. And I started to feel like, well, when the kids are done and gone, then I will go back and then somewhere I'll find my purpose. But now I stopped that very day and I've said, my purpose is here and it's now. My purpose is within me. But then the next question came, if my purpose is here and now, if my voice is right here within me, if I'm supposed to be living it, if it has always been in me, then probably I've already even been living it without knowing. Or it is just, there's difference when you do something intentionally and when it just happens by chance. It does not carry out its full effect. You don't live to your, like Yemi said, somebody must, for your husband to have said that, you're not living to your maximum potential. It means that there was something you were already showing it. He already saw it, but it was not at its full potential because you were not doing it intentionally. It was just there by chance. It's like a beautiful flower just growing in the wild. Right? It's different. It takes somebody to spot it out there, but it's different when it is intentionally planted in a garden. You would admire flower if somebody actually designs it in front of somebody's house than if it was just thrown somewhere in the bush and you just see one red thing in one forest. Yes, you will still see it because it's a rose, because it's a flower, because it's bright, because it carries its fragrance, but it will not be at its maximum as if it was intentionally planted in a specific position, mixed up with a certain color, with a certain design to bring out something. So you probably have already even been living out your purpose, but you just don't know, because it's there. And so I started to tell myself, I said, if it is true that I already have my voice is within me, it is here and now, then probably it has been somewhere I just did not notice. Then probably, something is hindering it from coming out. We get that? So the next thing that I would like to get into in this little talk of today is the questions or the digging that I started to do. In the workbook, you must have seen Yemi put out something. That's one of my favorite quotes. That's even what made me talk about bloom, bloom, bloom all the time, was because I finally saw that the gap between, for me, where I was and where I wanted to go, where I was and my voice, that gap in between had to do with growth from within. It had to do with growth from within. So I asked myself that if I already have all of these things, if I already have my voice, I have my purpose, everything is within me. Why am I not seeing it? Why am I not living it? It means that something, and that's one thing I want to establish about your voice. I said, first of all, the first point was that you have a voice. And under that, I said your voice is unique. Under that, I said your voice carries an assignment. Another thing I want to tell you is also that your voice is something that can never, ever be taken away from you. They can take away your house, your car, everything. Your voice can never be taken away from you. It's like to tell somebody that can come and remove all of your DNA from within you and you'll still be alive. No, you'll be dead. There is no way. It's inside there. If you take that mango seed, there's no way you can extract its life. And if it's dead, it's dead, or you extract it, it's dead. It cannot stay alive and then it doesn't have its components. So your voice can never be taken away from you. But guess what? Your voice can be silenced. Your voice can be silenced. So I had to go on a journey to find out what is silencing my voice. That brings us to the topic of today. Many of us, because of noise is one of those things that can silence your voice, right? I'm talking here, you can hear me clearly because everywhere is quiet. Now, if there is all this noise and everything, you'll be like, excuse me, what did you say? That's one of the things I used to hear a lot when the COVID came and then we had to put on masks. So some of us with accent and people who cannot understand that, I'm like, no, let me just put this mask down and speak. Read my lips. This is what I'm trying to say. Your voice cannot be taken away from you, but it can be silenced. It can be muffled. When COVID came and I started putting on my mask, all of a sudden people can hear me clearly. My voice was still there, but it was muffled. Somebody had to be so keen in order to hear me. Those who are close to me, they could hear me. Those who kind of understand my accent, it was a little bit easier. But my voice was muffled because something was covering it. If you are in a crowd and it's so loud, somebody cannot hear you. So your voice can never be taken away from you, but it can be silenced. And what is one of those things that silence our voice? We have said what? Noise, other noise around us. Now, the mistake we make is that a lot of us are trying to silence that noise from the outside environment so that our voice can be heard. And that's why we find ourselves on social media, people are calling, arguing, trolling in the comments, everything, because you are annoyed with somebody's voice. You are trying to quiet down a certain voice or a certain noise that you don't like. And let me tell you something that's also funny. Sometimes out of envy, jealousy, comparison, we even try and wish we can silence even good voices out there. Somebody doing something good and great, out of envy, people try to silence those voices. And that's the mistake that we are making. You cannot start with what you can control more. Do you know the one you can control? The noise from within. That is what I did. I stopped looking at, oh, I am feeling stuck because of A. I'm feeling stuck because of B. I feel stuck because of my kid. I feel stuck because of my husband. I feel stuck because the environment where I live in. I feel stuck because of resources. I feel stuck. And I'm not trying to say that those things are not contributing. So much on the outside of you can contribute in silencing your voice or in muffling it. But you will not be able to silence the outside noise or enjoy the calm of the outside. Even if outside was calm, if it is noisy within here, you will still not be able to even identify what you have in there to bring out. Let me tell you, about 3 to 4 years ago, I relocated from one state to another, New York to New Jersey. If you know New York City, you know that New York is a place in America where they always say that, call it the city that never sleeps. And that is literally a city that never sleeps. I'm telling you, I had people visit me. We went to Times Square at 1 a.m. and it's like people just woke up from bed. Stores are open. Life is happening like no man's business till 5 a.m. So if you're a night owl, you can function very well at night as though it's daytime. It was a city that never sleeps. When I relocated, I came to a more suburban area where it was a little bit calmer. All of a sudden, early in the morning, I would hear the birds. In the night, I would just enjoy the moon and the stars. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Now, let me ask you, did the moon disappear in New York? The moon was always there. Were there no crickets and birds? They were always there. Now, if I try to think that I would silence the noise of New York so that I could hear those things, that would be a job that I wanted. So when I was in New York, what I would do is that we intentionally try to look for a more quiet place to live. We try to quiet but our own lives so that we could enjoy some calm. Now, fast forward, when I moved here, I noticed also that on mornings when my kids have gone to school, those days I hear so many things around my home. I'm alone in the house. I can hear stuff. But if it's a day that they're home and they're noisy and everything, no matter how calm it was out there, I heard nothing. First thing in the morning was, Mommy, somebody took my toy. This is happening. I'm hungry. Those are the things I heard. So even if all those things, the external factors you are blaming, even if somebody comes and fixes it today, if there is still noise on the inside, you will still not hear. You will still not enjoy that calm. You will still not be able to do anything. I was only able to enjoy what was going on outside the moments when my house is quiet. So let us quickly I don't want to drag this so much because this is the meat of what I want us to get today. If you can quiet the noise from within you first, because this was a game changer for me. I'm telling you, there is noise out there. We have established that, but sometimes it's like I don't even hear it because there is calm inside here. Now, what are some of those noises within you that has been silencing your voice, that has made you, and you cannot see, you cannot hear your own voice, or you cannot find your voice, or your voice sounds even muffled to you. Have you ever realized that if a place is noisy, you find yourself speaking loud? I always often say that to my kids. At times I'm talking to my husband, he's right here with me, but then we start talking loud, and going, because the kids are shouting. And then we keep trying to raise our voice above theirs. And sometimes I'm just like, can you guys be quiet? I'm forced to shout because I can't even hear myself. You don't know that, but you can't hear you if you keep shouting, because even you can hear your voice and you feel like somebody else is not hearing you. So if you cannot quiet the voice noise within you, don't bother about this noisy world. We have to start from within. Let me tell you what the first noise is. The first voice within to quiet is the voice of regret. Is the voice of regret. Many times we feel regret, and regret is one of those things that almost all of us feel or have felt at one point in our time in our life. And research has shown that regret is often centered around love, regret around family. Everybody bring up their story, you will see it centered around something like that. Love, family, education, career, finances, parenting. Those are some of the things. And when you put in a nutshell, the regret boils down to lost time. You feel like you lost time and energy, and you just keep, oh my goodness, if only I had done this. Maybe you're sitting here and you're regretting, if only I had gone to school, if only I had started that business when I had to start it, if only my mom didn't act this way, my dad didn't act this way, if only I did not make that stupid decision, if only I did not waste that money, if only I had listened. If only, do you know what it does? It just keeps you stuck in the past. One of the thickest blinders, if you want to ever be blind and never gain clarity, stay in regret. One of the biggest earplugs that will block you from hearing your own voice is regret. And one of the biggest time wasters is regret. You'll regret wasting time. And when you stay in that regret, you waste more time. I know it's not easy. I'm telling you, as somebody, if I'm listing these things, these were the things that I had to quiet down in order to be able to hear my voice. I sat down, and if you're any young lady here, let me just zone in, we're women here. If you're any young lady here, at one point or the other in your life, you're going to carry some emotional baggage. You're going to carry some emotional baggage somewhere. Some regret of something you did not do, some regret of something you did, some regret of something you allowed to be done to you. And I understand it's not easy. It's not as easy as just snapping out of it. You need help and support, like what Yemi is saying. And that's why, sorry, someone saying something? And that is why I am happy she has this thing on her fresh start. You can start all over again. You can start all over again. God is a God who can restore. You can start all over again. So you need help through that journey. It's not an easy thing, it's a journey, but it's a journey that you should take. It's a journey I encourage you to start today, ASAP, that I want to get out of this regret. Feeling so, let me tell you, just recently even, there is something I should have done that I did not do. I omitted to do something in a timely manner, and it costed us some kind of penalty that involved some finances, money. And I beat myself up on that thing. I felt so bad, so down, Then I just got up and I was like, how is this helping me? I went on my knees. I said, God, forgive me. This was really just carelessness. I told my husband, oh my God, forgive me, because now this thing is going to cost us some money in our budget. And after that, I was like, God, what can I do? Grant me wisdom. Guess what? That feeling went away. Not that it has completely gone, because even now, as I'm telling you again, the thing is kind of like eating me up a little bit. But the fact that you choose to address it, it just changes your view on it. It helps you to start seeing a way forward. Even if you don't see 2 steps ahead, if you can see just the first baby step, start on it. That voice of regret is preventing you from seeing your own voice. I had to take away every feeling of regret that I had in me. Now, another voice is a voice of excuses. I know that we may say, oh, no, it's not an excuse. Many times you think that, you truly don't have a voice, I don't have a talent. You see me, I don't have anything. I don't know where to start. I gave those type of excuses. I was saying, okay, I've been in and out of work. I would go to work, take a break, have a baby, go back to work, take a break, have a baby. And I just felt like, I said, you know what? I can't do this. I don't think I have clarity right now. That's why we keep saying, let's wait. But I realized that was fear. And sometimes we blame people or we blame certain factors. But I saw in my life that at some time, those things that I give as excuses, even when those things, those factors or things lined up, I still didn't do what I wanted to do. How many people said they did not have time before COVID and then we had a lockdown and you still did not do some things? My hand is up. So many times we give those excuses and it's really not. Many people say, I can't spend time with my family because I have to go out there. Now you are right there in the house. You have just increased your work time now. You work from the time you open your eyes to the time you sleep. Excuses. And those excuses come from fear. I saw that there were things I blamed people, blamed circumstances. But when I looked deep down, I saw that, you know what? Even if these things were not the case, Chantal, you're afraid. You're afraid, and afraid of what? Sometimes we're afraid to go out of the norm. You're afraid to follow a path that you feel inside of you, but which does not fit into what you have been spoken. I see a lot of you people here are from the kind of background where I come from. We have been taught a certain way. You have to go to school, you have to get the degrees, you have to marry a good man, you have to have kids by this age, everything is time bound. So where are you coming from now to start saying you want to do this one and do that one? So many of us say that we don't have a talent or that we have not yet identified our voice. Deep down, you know it. You have heard that voice. You have heard it. It has spoken to you. But somewhere it does not fit into what society would consider an achievement. Society will give titles to. Society will approve. What will my friends say? What will my parents say? What will this person say? And so we are blinded. I recently put up a post where I said, could it be that your purpose or your talent has already been revealed to you, but it's wrapped up in something so ordinary that you don't see it? And that brings us to the second, the third voice that blinds us, which is that aspect of misconceptions of what purpose is all about. When I was growing up, I knew that purpose, where you find purpose was this big thing. I've already addressed two of those misconceptions. Purpose is here and now, not in the future. Another misconception, purpose is within me, not outside of me for me to find it. Another one is that purpose is this thing that must start huge and large. People who go viral overnight. There are ministries that start big. And Moses started from day one, he would throw a rod, turns into snake. Huh? But there are people who started like Abraham, go to somewhere that I will show you. Where? He just had to carry himself and start going to somewhere that they will show him. A lot of us, our journey is like that. So, but all of us are thinking that purpose must start big, large, with signs and wonders. And that is why you have something. People are calling you every day, come and make us that jollof rice. You're like, how can purpose found in jollof rice? And presently I know somebody who is dying. They're having a conference and they're looking for somebody to just cook them jollof rice for conference. Don't sit on your gifts, sit on a medium to say something out there because you feel that it's wrapped up in something. I've just mentioned jollof rice and something has come to my mind, which I did not mean to say. And I want to kind of be mindful of time here. I recently watched a video. And to be honest, it's recently that I recently discovered that woman now in person on one big show. But I didn't even know that is the same lady that I have her video saved on her because I have my playlist of my recipes that if I try them, they are good. I just save them and it becomes my family stable. I'm telling you that I watched this woman's recipe of a meatloaf. There was comedy in it. There was inspiration in it. There was everything. At the end of the day, I was like, was this a seminar or just a recipe for meatloaf? This woman has her gifts, but she has carried her personality, something fun within it. I was laughing throughout. I was like, God, am I cooking or laughing? You understand? So there is something unique about your own voice. Many people today say that because you're looking for something that is so big, something that is so wow. And when we say unique, you think that should be something that nobody has ever done before. Just myself and Yemi here were in a very similar niche. But she has her voice and I have mine. Stop looking, saying that everybody is doing it. So I'm still looking for that special thing that God called me to do. Have you ever heard somebody say, I'm not going to nursing school because everybody registered in nursing school this year? There are too many doctors being registered this year. People are instead rushing to go into it before it kills them. So if we can have millions and millions of people being graduating every year from the same school, who are you now to suddenly, do you know how many painters exist? I'm not going to be a painter because everybody is a painter. I'm not going to start off this thing because everybody is doing it. You know, I want this thing. So we are unique, but your uniqueness does not mean that you become an alien and show up with 10 horns. You will be a human being with 2 eyes, nose, and a mouth, talk like everybody else, but there will be something that will connect in your voice. Have you noticed that even in a crowd, in a noisy place, if your child spoke, you will turn around. If your husband spoke, you will turn around. If your mother spoke, you will turn around. It doesn't matter the noise. You always be like, I feel like I heard, you know? In a crowd, Jesus said, somebody touched me. Why? Because somebody who connected to what he was carrying touched him in a different way. So even in that crowd, don't be so focused on quieting all that noise. Focus more on finding your voice and living it out purposefully. The people that are connected to you will find you. You will speak in that crowd and somebody will be like, hey, I heard Yemi speak here. You will speak in that crowd and somebody will be like, I heard Shanta spoke here. I heard Chioma said something here. Sola said something here. You will hear. Somebody will hear your voice because it carries a solution that they need in a unique way. So more than trying to quiet the noise of this whole wide world, that's what we're saying here. Try to find your own voice, give it meaning, give it purpose. See, darkness cannot pretend it did not see light too. When light comes at that time, it's gone. Darkness has never been able to pretend that light I did not see. No. You saw me. So just be that light. And we're told that you don't light a candle and put it under the table. You put it up where it can give light. You know, so each person you have, a city built on a hill cannot be hidden. So there are people meant to come and dwell in that city. You just have to identify it. So what have I said here so far? I have said that you have a voice. I've said that your voice is unique. And the people who need that unique voice will find it. Will find it. There are many people cooking jollof rice. Somebody would just want to eat your own. There are many people saying and sharing the same thing. Somebody wants to listen just to your own. Maybe because you have added some other little thing to it. And some people are holding back. Let me, you know, it's two ways. Some people say everybody's doing it, so I don't want to do it. And then some people also want to just do it the way that everybody's doing it. What if I show up with my own thing this way? You know, there were times that each time initially when I share something, I try to bring a very renowned quote to back it. I'm like, please, look, even this person said it. That person who said it also said it from nowhere. So why can't I say mine as an original from my experience, from where I stand? Right? It's true, we still have to bring research, things that have been proven for authenticity. But I can also still say something, and the only thing that makes it authentic is because it's my truth. I have lived it. And then somebody else can begin to quote it and move on with it. So you have a voice. It's unique. It has a purpose. It carries with it an assignment. And it can never be taken away from you. It can be silenced. What are the things that can silence it? Regret. What are some of the things that can silence it? Excuses. So you're going to ask yourself, what is holding me back from really doing what I feel in my heart that I want to do? You may even be like, I don't even know what I want to do. Deal with that regret. Put it away. It will become clearer to you. Secondly, keep away excuses. I said, when I lived in New York, it's New York City, these places were tight. I gave all kinds of excuses why I was like, oh, you see, if I had a backyard now, my kids will be out. If this happened now, this will be that. If this happened now I have a backyard like a football field, and there were times we don't even go there. Many of you think that if you only had the connection that this person had, if you only looked like the way this person looked, if you only had the resources they had, if you live where they live, if you did this, if you did that, then, and I'm not trying to take away from the fact that those factors come to add, because it's true, that's why we need help and support. But what I'm trying to say is that for you to get somewhere, start with here. What I'm saying may look like, oh, try it. You will come back and say, Yemi, thank you. Start from where you are today and say, what do I have in my hand? Now, this exercise, I want you to go and do it. Go write down all the excuses you have. And they are real. Sometimes they're really real to you. I don't have money. I don't this one, this, that. I feel like I'm too old. I feel like I'm too young. I feel like this. Write it all down. Then the next assignment I'm giving you is that go and research. Okay, I want to run a marathon. I feel I'm too old. Go and research. Is there anybody who ran a marathon when they were old? And read their story. That's why I believe that we need role models. I want to do modeling, but I think I am overweight. Is there any model who has succeeded overweight? Right out of it, I don't have resources. So two things will happen. Those people, first of all, will inspire you that somebody has done it before. Then secondly, you'll be able to look on their journey and find out what did they do? What did they do even in that circumstance to still be able to shine? Do you know that this helps you to use your time wisely? Because this thing I'm telling you, find out will take you time and energy. And then you discover that 2 days have passed and you have not been scrolling through social media. So social media is not something they need to put anointing oil on your head for it to disappear. When you start living your life intentionally, you just start seeing that things that don't matter, they just begin to find their way by itself and going. Because that's another thing I want to bring in, which is that word, something that muffles your voice is distraction. You are too distracted by what people are saying, opinion. This person, oh, I think I'll try this one. That person is doing this one. Oh my goodness, I'll try this one. Or maybe if I add this one, they always say that too many cooks spoil the soup. Too many seasoning, mixing everything, you end up with something that you don't know. In order to take away distraction, it muffles your voice. It confuses you. Sometimes you don't know what you stand for. So you may need a little pulling back. You may need a little physical. You can't shut that noise. You can pull away from it. You can pull away from the noise for a little bit, even if it meant. Let me tell you, I only came back again to Facebook when I started my YouTube. And people were like, Shanda, where have you been that you just surfaced? Because I needed to process myself. I needed to, and again, the funny thing is that it was not even a conscious decision that I want to leave. I just started going on this journey. And before I knew it, I was lost. On the outside, people told me I was lost, but in the inside, I was finding myself. And when I found myself, my voice became clear and louder. People thought I was lost, they could hear that voice. So take away the voice of regret, take away the voice of excuse, take away the one last one I'll tell you is that you take away the noise from stress. I'm telling you, physical exhaustion, as simple as it looks, can blind you from seeing where you want to go. And I say this with empathy, especially if you're here and you have younger kids. It's like round the clock, you're tired. You have something to do, something here and there. But one thing I'll also ask you is that, ask yourself that, am I putting too much pressure on myself? Life itself already has some pressures that will bring. Maybe you're a student. Maybe you have the pressure of trying to figure out a partner in your life. Maybe you have the pressure of young ones. Maybe you have the pressure of a young new relationship and you are still trying to understand yourself. Those are things that are already naturally happening. Don't add another thing. Another thing you can be adding is competition, trying to impress. Those are extra baggages you are adding to already a life that is almost going towards on a stress lane. Keep away from those things. How can I reduce my physical exhaustion? Don't compare with somebody. The mistake I used to make when I was a young mom is that I was like, these people have kids. They are still able to do this one. Go here. I still saw people on 6 inches. I could not even see. I didn't know where my heels were. I only had my sneakers because one is on my back, one is here, and I'm going, But then I came to see that people, maybe they have the strength to still do that, and they're sacrificing something else, It's just like me, people ask me, Shanta, how do you still maintain a clean environment with young kids? That's just something I've put in my mind to devote to maintain, even with children. But then there's another thing that motherhood has taken from me. Another person can say that, you know what, I don't know how to keep a place clean since children came, but I know how to still look good. I don't play with that, right? They have a way of balancing one thing or the other. So my point here is that keep any stress. Stress is one of the big things that introduces envy, introduces jealousy, it's just physical exhaustion, to be honest with you. Ask yourself that, What is the stress? Why am I putting too much on myself unnecessarily? Again, I'm not trying to teach you some laid back life and say, sit down, don't do anything. Be very intentional. Put in the hard work. It will cost you. You will stress. You will have some sleepless nights. But when I say unnecessarily, ask yourself, am I unnecessarily putting pressure on myself? So watch out for physical exhaustion. Watch out for emotional exhaustion, maybe from toxic relationships. Have you ever realized that the moment you free yourself from a certain toxic environment, all of a sudden it's like you know where you are going to in your life? You suddenly are making some good decisions and you're wondering what's happening. Emotional baggages or emotional exhaustion, tiredness can muffle your voice, like anger, I've already said it, envy, bitterness, jealousy. Seek help if you have to seek help to free yourself from some childhood traumas, to free yourself from, and I'm not lying to you, these things as I'm telling you are journeys that I have taken. I remember a time even when I'm already stressed out with motherhood and everything, somebody hurt me so bad. I was like, me, I saw myself like an easygoing person. I let go. I always give people second chances. As you see me smile, that's why I just smile and go. I didn't know that someone can push that button in the wrong spot. you know? But it's until I was honest with God and I started walking around playing holy, like, I don't bother, it doesn't bother me. No, no, no. One time I came before God and I was like, help me here or else I will die. This thing bothers me. This thing is eating me up. This thing is changing who I am. And I had to take that baggage off. Oh my goodness. All of a sudden, I can sleep soundly. All of a sudden, I'm an amazing mom. All of a sudden, I'm a wonderful wife. All of a sudden, I'm a wonderful encourager, blessing, encouraging people out there. And the more I began to be the real me, people began to see who I was. So you could be covering who you are because you are, all people see you is that bitterness coming out, the anger coming out, the envy coming out, the regrets coming out, the stress coming out, the tiredness coming out. Have you ever compared yourself just the night before when you were tired and the next morning, you're like, these two people. The night before you were so tired, you were like this zombie. And then the next morning, you're like this angel. Physical exhaustion alone can kill. Emotional exhaustion, and even mental exhaustion, worrying about people's opinion, worrying about or having the wrong mindset. You have to change the way you think. That some of you have the answer. I'm sorry, you have that answer within you. But you're just like, how do I start? Let me tell you, when I put out my first YouTube video and I called my sister, she's like, yeah, I'll share it. I said, no, 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 no. Don't share it. Don't share it yet. And then she's talking with me and she suddenly starts to laugh. And I'm like, why are you laughing? She's like, as I was talking to you, I was scrolling through Facebook. Your first husband has already shared it. And I was like, someone help me. Because I was not even confident in my own thing that I was doing. And if you're not confident, nobody else will be confident for you. Because even when you're confident, the world is trying to push you down. So I want to encourage you that change your mindset. I had to believe, because even till now, sometimes I still battle. There were times people told me, hey, students, by now you should have had your doctorate in nursing, do your master's of what? But I know what is boiling within me. I know something else is boiling within me, which may not make sense. Sometimes even to me, I'm still like, I hope it makes sense. I hope this is the right path. So listen to that inner voice. I don't want to talk too much. I want to just conclude here by giving you some quick things that you can do after you have put away excuses, you have put away regret, you have tried to put yourself in a place where you're living a stress-free life. I didn't say a lazy life, a stress-free life. Because many times also another excuse is that I don't want to be bothered. Please, I don't want, life is too short. Let me enjoy my life. And then we use that as an excuse to mean that I want to live a balanced life. A balanced and intentional and a slow life is very different from a lazy, chaotic, and unplanned life. Those are very two different things. So you have to look at those differences. When you live from here today, forget about ABC that is around you. Say that I attend one webinar today, I'm on a new journey. I want to write down my excuses. I want to list down my baggages. I want to list down my questions. I want to list down my fears, my doubts, and then start the work. You will realize that this work I'm telling you to do may take you the rest of this year to do it. They'll be asking that, as we have not seen you on Facebook, what is happening? You say, I'm busy. I'm busy writing things down and figuring out. I'm looking for my voice. By the time you show up, you'll not show up just adding to noise. You'll be showing up with a solution. You'll be showing up, bringing up something to somebody. So let me just quickly, Yemi, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to conclude here with these few things, is that it makes no sense knowing your voice if you don't put purpose to it, right? I can know that I have a voice, it has a purpose. I finally find it. But if I don't let it out there, it's not going to help. If I don't, know what purpose it is for, it's not going to help me. Now, for me, during that time, when I told myself that one, Chantal, you have a purpose, it's here and now. What is covering that noise? What has been blinding you from seeing it? I listed all of these things. I walked through it. And then after that, I told myself that, okay, now I'm going to start living out my purpose intentionally. What did I do? I just started living an intentional life. And these are some of those things. I put up a post recently on Facebook, my Facebook page, and somebody asked me that, oh, you mentioned something about intentionality. What does it mean to live intentional? And I was like, wow, these are some things we throw around, but we do not realize that people don't really look at. I'm just going to read this out for you that I wrote out. I said, living with intention means being aware of who you are, what your core values and beliefs are, and then willingly, because a lot of us are doing so much today, but it's not willingly. You're doing it because someone is doing it. You're doing it because I want to please somebody. You're doing it, let's not get into the reasons. You know why you're doing it. But you're willingly making conscious effort daily, take note of those words, to ensure that your decisions, your choices, your actions, your behavior, they align or they reflect those values. Which means, what will you do first? Put down your values, your beliefs, your principles in every area of your life. I'm telling you things that I did. Sat down and I was like, forget about all the cool moms out there. Chantal, what kind of mom do you want to be? What are your values and principles when it comes to being a mom? What are your values and principles when it comes to being a wife? What are your values and principles when it comes to just being who you are as a woman or in my career? And then I started asking myself every day, Chantal, what action have you taken today that aligns with that kind of mother you want to be? What action have you taken today that aligns with that kind of wife you want to be? When you start asking this question, you'll see that you have work more on yourself than that friend that you keep chasing. You want more. Many times we want to change people. We want them to do things the way we want. When it starts from within, things start to just flow from within like this and going. I was home. Nothing changed for me. I didn't suddenly leave from a stay-at-home mom to having a doctorate in nursing. But I woke up every morning one happy and fulfilled mother. The way I will wash those dishes, you would think that they're about to pay me 1 million for those dishes that I want to wash. The way I took care of my children, the way I was intentional, because I told myself and I evaluated myself every month about those children and about everything. Let me tell you, if you are not diligent with your work of your hand now, don't even think it, that God is going to open up doors for you to do something else out there. I had to know how to be an intentional mom, be an intentional wife, who I wanted to be, took steps on it. I remember calling my husband, sitting down and saying, hey, these are the things I have realized about myself as a wife. Are there any more you want to add on it? I know I don't want to hear it, but still say it. And then I said, okay, if you permit me, I also say some things which I feel like if you help me out with it on your own part, I will help me. And we went from there. Again, it's a journey. It's a journey. I was intentional. That's what I want to encourage you to do. Start living intentionally. People think that purpose is something that falls from somewhere. I'm not lying to you. Intentionality. I signed up at church because I'd stepped down from the choir when so many things were on me. In fact, I was really a stay-at-home mom. But I went back and I said I'll work in the children's department because it was a little bit easy and it could blend with what my kids were doing. And I think at this point also I had started doing some hours again at work, like few hours and things like that. It's really confusing. Sometimes you get back into the workplace, you're even feeling nervous. You feel like people have moved on. You feel like, do I still know what I knew? And you're even angry because you're like, I'm a smart girl. I was an A student. Why is this happening to me? But I said I would put in that work. I'll still be the best at work. So because other people are working full time and they're having more experience, they don't take breaks, they may not need to do as much as I have to do. So I am responsible to do more. I came back and I read books. I was like some student, I was like, you know what, I'll update myself. So I'm just trying to encourage you that wherever you are, in whatever situation you are, write down those areas of your life and then live intentionally. Let me tell you what intentionality will do you. It will help you avoid the temptation of just going with the flow. You will follow not just any and every trend that is out there. I don't put my fingerprint just on anything because I know what I stand for. You will not take, it helps you not taking the time to ask yourself honest question. Why am I doing this? Am I just doing it? When you start living intentionally, you ask questions before you do things and you don't get distracted unnecessarily. This is the way of pulling yourself away from noise so that you can hear your own voice, know your voice, understand your purpose, and start living it out. So do it intentionally. The next time they tell you to come and do something, do it with all your heart and do it diligently. Another thing that I did was that I tried to look back into my past to see some traits that I had already been showing. Because like I told you earlier, your voice, even if you don't use it intentionally, you have been using it. And when I look back, I saw so many things. I was the prefect in boarding school. I remember being a refectorian, being the senior prefect in high school. When I went, I just saw some things that I saw the kind of, people started even sending me things I had written to them. And I'm like, I wrote this. I started to stumble on my journal and things that I had written. And I was like, I wrote this. Everything was like me. I felt like it was somebody else. Because when you're younger and you don't have too many filters, the real you shines. A little child now, you ask them, they'll tell you they want. My son right now tell me he's an astronaut. Actually, he's already an astronaut. But in my mind, I already calculated all kinds of things in my head. Astronaut. He believes it. That's who you were. But then we grow and then we question ourselves. We grow and then culture shapes us to think in a certain way. So after starting to live intentionally wherever I was, when I talked to somebody, I didn't just talk to them casually. I was looking for opportunities to be a blessing. The second thing I did was that I sat down and reflected on all what people were saying that I was. What do people say about you? About something that you do? Maybe it is your behavior, maybe it's the way you speak. And somebody may be like, don't even go there. People have a very bad impression about me. People say that growing up, I used to be a fighter, I used to be a this. Look inside that fighting spirit, you will find the answer inside. There's something burning. Why are you? My mom used to say that if you're the only one angry that this table is dirty, then it means that you're the one who has the ability to clean it the right way. And today I see it because I'm the only one who used to notice extra dirt in the house. And today I see that I had the ability to organize. That's why I noticed those things. So sometimes even the anger you had growing up, maybe people only saw that, they could not tie you in one place. Check very well. There is something behind that thing that you can sit on one spot. Not every negative attribute is really negative. It's just that it has fallen into the hands of the wrong person and he's using it wrongly. Just switch it over into the hand of God and see what he will use. That same spirit, that same behavior, that same drive. I have one of my mother's sister. When they mentioned her name, people will be running away. And when she finally switched and became a child of God and she did not turn into this meek, holy person walking around. She used that same energy. And she felt like she could preach from morning to evening to night, travel, took her television to do somebody who ran a bar, use everything from inside that place to, go to play. I was like, yes, this energy has always had its purpose. It was just in the hands of the wrong person. So look back, what are people saying about me? What are people saying about me? What do I see in myself? If people keep asking you every day, Dayo Popov, Dayo Popov, Dayo Popov, Dayo Popov, go and sit down and think about that Popov again very well. I have somebody now that I know whom people are just like, oh my goodness, kids love you. You just love. And each time I keep telling her, think about this thing. Think about this thing. But you see, I'm telling you, somebody's asking me that why food. I don't know, maybe I'm hungry today or what. I don't know why food keeps coming up. I don't know why it keeps coming up. And I said, look into this thing. You don't know, maybe you are meant to mentor moms. Maybe you are meant to open up some daycare. Maybe there is something. There is something. I'm just throwing this example so that you will be looking at yourself. It's because either fear that me, can I do this big thing? Or you are like, this small thing, can it be my purpose? No, let's keep it there, right? Like that servant who buried it. I'm waiting for a big thing. I'm waiting for a big idea. I'm waiting for that thing that when I show up on social media, I'll say, this is purpose. And then time passes you by. So there is something that you carry. And I'm going to finalize by also saying that, one other thing that I did besides starting to live intentionally, looking back to see a track record of what people said about me and how I operate and how I talk, and listening to others, looking at my own track record, one thing I did was that I just started doing something. Somebody said that, in order to create, create. Stop overthinking. Start. If you tell me now to tell you the story of how I started my YouTube channel, I don't have it. I don't know. I don't even have it written anywhere. I'm telling you, I don't know how it happened. But I started. It's true that I had a message. I'm not saying you should just now go and do anything, because I believe so much in preparation. And our God is somebody who will not just take the keys and give it to you that go, if he knows that you go and have an accident there and fall down and die. So I believe in preparation, but preparation does not happen with you under your covers. People are waiting. I'm waiting for the right time. I'm still preparing. We don't prepare under our covers. This is the only journey where you prepare on the job. The preparation is on the job. That's why you are only on step one. And you're like, what is it with this step one? That step one is the preparation step one. When you are ready, step two will just show up and you put your foot on it. And then when you put your foot on it, that's when you'll be like, thank God this step two didn't come earlier. Because you will see preparation matters. Preparation season. So maybe some of you are even feeling that you have not heard your voice because you're in the preparation season. It's already there. When I look back, I see that everything, my experiences, everything was preparing me for now. I just said something about mothers. I say, if you take away my motherhood experience from me, I'm not the Chantal that I'm here today. And you'll be thinking that what has motherhood and a clarity coach have got together? So much. The experiences I had, the emotions I felt, the ups and downs, the drama that was put up on me, or my own drama that I put up because I was frustrated in motherhood. All of that together has put me on the path where I am. So don't minimize your story. Don't minimize your journey. Don't minimize your experience. Don't minimize the gift and talent that is in your hand. If somebody tells you that when you smile, you warm somebody's eye, smile. Smile until smile. If somebody tells you anything, I don't want to go back again to food because Yemi is going to kill me here. Another thing I just want to bring, which I forgot, was that don't always think that your purpose also must just come from something natural. It can be a passion and you train for it. I know people who reach out to trauma and abusive people and they themselves have never been traumatized or abused. And you may think like, how can you speak if you have never been there? But there is an ability to train, to be able to sit where people have sat and still able to empathize with them. So your assignment could be that passion, that thing you're thinking of going to study, going to train on and everything. Maybe you already even have it. You already have it, but you are thinking of something else. Please, if you do all of these things, you'll be able to find your voice. You will not only find your voice, you'll find its purpose, and then you'll be able to do something with it. Now, I've already gone so far, so there are two other things I was going to talk about. I'll kind of skip it, but I'll summarize it under the fact that our voices, sound better in harmony. I can sing alto, Yemi can sing tenor, another person sings soprano, and all of that. They sound nice by themselves, but imagine us coming together to sing in harmony. It makes the best and the most beautiful melody. So one way to also find or sharpen your voice is to find like-minded people where you speak the same language. The friends I have, we don't get on the phone and take his name, this name, and put on the ground and begin to grind it. I don't remember when I lastly did something stupid like that. Because there is something, after each conversation, you are sharpened, you're encouraged. It's either somebody is sharpening me, I'm sharpening somebody, or we are just giving hope to one another. And it's not that, we get talking about all these inspirational things. No, it's just regular, everyday mom conversations, but it's coming from an intentional place. not a place of grumbling, complaining, sad, and this thing, or envy. Like-mindedness. I don't shine brighter by trying to turn Yemi's own light down. That's why my platform, especially YouTube, I bring people because I believe that somebody in my audience may be going through something that I have not experienced, but somebody's good at it. So if I truly say that it's my passion to help people gain clarity, I'm like, maybe regret is something that is closing your eyes. Let me bring somebody that can help you out with that. Let me bring this up. It's just more beautiful when we sing together. So if you want to find your voice, these are beautiful women here. I hope I can even get to know you guys beyond here. Find like-minded people and start to be with them. You make a better melody. When you sing together in harmony, it sounds more beautiful than if I just started singing some alto part all by myself. It is beautiful when we sing in harmony. But at the end of the day, what I'll say is that take action. And when you take action, keep in mind that you have to keep things balanced. I've seen people lose themselves, right? In trying to find yourself, you actually lose yourself. They ask you that you don't even know why you even started anymore. You don't know where you are, where you're going. It's different if you go and feel stuck at some point, take detours when you are doing things intentional. That's different from when you just keep going and then you find yourself lost. So I could go deep in that, but I believe we're going to have more opportunity to say things. But I really just wanted to bring this to you, that you have a voice. You have something special within you to give the world. And I'm going to end with these two scriptures. Acts 20:24 says that, but my life is worth nothing to me unless I use it for finishing the work assigned me by the Lord Jesus, the work of telling others the good news about the wonderful grace of God. And John 9:4 says, I must work the work of him that sends me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. Today is your time. Today is your day. Your purpose is here, is now. You have a voice. Own it. Own it. You have your what is that popular word that everybody used to do? You have your tribe. You have your tribe. They will hear that voice even in the middle of all this noise. You don't have to put any other person down in order to shine. You don't have to go fighting any other person. Let your voice. But somebody said that I don't know how to put it. It's more like poverty is loud noise. You have change. It's making ching, 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 ching. Really, the real thing doesn't make too much noise, but you feel it. You see its effect. So I encourage us, my sisters who are here. You have a voice. It's unique. It's beautiful. I hope that years from now, we'll be able to say, oh, I found my voice. I started to use it. Impatience, wanting it to happen overnight, viral, is what is killing our society of today. Viral. Let me tell you something that's also funny. I read two people who are making it big today. And when I read their story, I didn't see any viral moments in their story. Their story is so gradual and gentle, yet the impact cannot be missed. And that day, I remember something telling me in my heart that you may never ever have any viral thing, but you're going to create impact. And a part of me was like, but yeah, it's about the impact. The impact will make the noise. Each drop counts, okay? Each drop counts. So thank you all so much. I don't know if instead of me keep talking, maybe you may have some more questions that we may throw a little bit more light in it. Thank you, Yemi.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I know after this you will come for me for time.
I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you.
I know. That's why I'm just looking away.
No worries. Thank you so much. I need to see something in the chat. I need to see some activity going on. And I saw people were dropping in their key takeaways. People were dropping comments, chats. Sorry. Yeah, in the chat. Thank you guys so much. But I need to see, did you guys enjoy this session? Did you people tell me, let me know. Are you ready to move to the Q&A? Did you guys really enjoy this session? Thank you so much, Victoria. Thank you so much. Well done. Yeah, she deserves cold zobo. Or maybe jollof rice and pawpaw.
I'm telling you, send me jollof rice and pawpaw.
Maybe jollof rice. Thank you, Fumi. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm hoping that you guys really I know because I had my notes full, like I was just taking notes, and even the things that I felt like I knew before just started to like make sense. I just, I got it. That's just what I'm going to say. I got it. And there were so many things. And I even have questions. I have like 3 different questions. So before I just go into my own questions, do we have any questions that we want to ask? Do we have any questions that we want to ask? This is the time. This is the time to ask the questions. Just put it in the chat. Let's ask our questions. Honestly, I'm waiting on our questions. But before then, and you can throw your question at either of us, anybody. That's fine. Okay, so I have like a couple of questions. And I know that you did touch on like you were mentioning it as as you progressed in the session, but there were a few things that stood out to me, but I just have questions in this area. So my first question is, what if my voice has been shattered? How do I pick it up? Because I remember, yes, I'll send the recordings. I'll send the recordings to everybody. I'll send an email, because a lot of people register and they reach out to me that they would not be able to attend, but they will still need the recording. So I definitely send an email out and everybody will be able to get the recording later on. So back to my question. So I want to ask, like, if my voice has been shattered, if I used to be somebody that I was using my voice and then somehow in the middle of life, you did talk about emotional stress and all of that, but how do I pick myself back up? How do I get that voice back up? Because like that's one of the goals of on a fresh start, is to give that people that opportunity to begin again. So I was reading, my friends and I were reading this book by Viola Davis, and then there was one part she was speaking about somebody that she thought she had lost her voice. Then she met this person who they were practicing. They were in this session of acting. She was supposed to like act her role, and she was supposed to like shout, but then all her energy, she was like, ah, and they were telling her, shout, like say something. She was like, ah, like I was just playing out the scenario in my head, because I read that part and I was reading it like I think 2 days ago, and I was like, oh, imagine it just aligns with what we're talking about today. And the girl she couldn't voice out. And then she kept, like, Viola kept talking to the girl, like, why don't you just, like, she was trying to give her coaching and all of that. And then the person that was teaching them knew that there was something wrong somewhere. And the person told somebody else to like cover her mouth and keep putting things at her, keep saying things at her. And the girl just busted out saying that she doesn't want anybody to cover her mouth anymore, because when she was a child, her dad used to cover her mouth, beat her, and then rape her, abuse her. And so when they covered her mouth, it just triggered, and she was so loud. Viola wrote it in her book that the girl shouted and said, don't cover my face, or something like that. Like, she just voiced out, like just said it out, and everybody like just wrapped around her and just, so like that came to my mind just now as you were talking about, amplifying your voice and all of that. But I just want to know, and for anybody out there, how do I amplify my voice? How do I pick my voice back up if it has been shattered in the past? Maybe it could be different scenarios. Maybe I used to be a friendly person, but all the friends, people would hurt me. Those friends will come back, and I do my best for people, but then they never appreciate me. And I decided, you know what, I'm not going to be kind to anybody anymore. Or I'm this, it could be anything. It could be anything. But what can I do? Let's say somebody is saying, what can I do if my voice has been shattered? How do I pick it up? So that's my question. I'm going to mute now and allow you to answer that.
That's a beautiful question, Yemi. Thank you for asking that. I think one of the very first thing is to acknowledge the fact that your voice has been shattered. The thing that can delay healing from a pain is being in denial. I just shared here how someone had hurt me so badly one time. Initially, I was in denial. I'm not angry. It's not bothering me. And it continued to bother me. You see people say, oh, this thing doesn't bother me. Oh, I'm not, it doesn't worry me that I'm a single mother. But then you say something around that area and they blow up. Then there's something worrying you about it. I don't, the fact that I did not get to finish my education, no, it doesn't bother me. I'm okay. And then somebody talks about it, you blow up. There's something bothering you about it. So the very first thing is accepting that there is that pain, that I feel that my voice has been shattered. I feel that I'm going through a trauma. I'm going through a hurt. I'm going through a bitterness. I'm going through an emotional exhaustion, a mental stress, a mental baggage, emotional baggage. For me, that is where it all begins. Is when you accept it, that you are able to start taking steps. Now, one thing that makes people come out of things is that, you experience something so badly that you don't want to ever go there again. Or you learn a lesson from something, I don't want to go back there again. There are always so many things that can push somebody out of a situation. But for me, I always say that the best thing is to ask yourself the consequences of me staying shattered. Because one truth which is very bitter is that I cannot go back to the past. So there are two truths you're establishing first. I cannot go back to the past to correct what was done. It's difficult to say that. That's where regret comes. And then the second thing is establish the fact that yes, it happened, and yes, it hurt me. Accept that to yourself and not blame yourself for it. So secondly, the thing that motivates you to move ahead is to weigh benefit and, how is this thing affecting me staying where I am? Because let me tell you, there is a certain comfort in playing the victim card. There's a certain comfort there because it's like when you do that, you keep punishing the person that shattered your voice. You keep punishing that situation and everything, but the real person you're punishing is you. So you have to come to that place of saying that, what is it costing me staying shattered? What is it costing me not voicing out myself? What is it costing me closing up to love because somebody had, hurt me? What is it costing me, blocking, creating a wall and shutting everybody out because of trust issues? Somebody had betrayed me. Think about the cost. When you think about the cost, go on the other side and try to picture, our minds. Let me tell you something that regret does. Regret always, our minds pretend like, or paint this scenario of, if this thing had not happened, this is how amazing my life would have been. You don't know. There are people who probably didn't go through that process you went through, did not have that drama, and their lives are not beautiful. So who told you that if that thing did not happen? And again, this is difficult for me to say it, and please, I'm saying it with a lot of empathy for anybody who's going through a difficult time. The truth, honestly, is that you just don't know. Even if you did not go through that, you just don't know. Your life may not be that beautiful picture that your mind is painting to you. So that helps you to move away from that past and say, what happened, happened. I am here right now. What you should train your mind to do is to paint something else beautiful from now on. What if right now I'm not carrying this baggage? What if right now I'm not allowing my voice to be shut? What can possibly happen? You will bear with me that the morning you wake up with hope, you feel empowered. You feel like you can, even when you have not conquered, you just feel empowered. So I would encourage you that first, forget the past. What has happened has happened. Accept that you are going through that pain and that it's okay. You are human. Don't pretend. Don't, let people label. Let people say what they want to say. Yes, I'm in pain. Some people say, oh, why are you carrying it so long? It's fine. I have carried it so long, but now I'm on a journey. And the next thing is that what are the things that is hindering me? What is the benefits if I leave from this? Okay, now how can I do it? That's when you step out for help. That's when you step out for help. And everything is gradual, like I said, it's step by step. If you do this first work, is one that you can do within you. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can take that decision for you that I want to move on. I want to regain my voice. When you take that decision, then you now start asking you the questions, because it's a big thing. I don't want to get into it. It's a big, the shutting out of the voices is very different in different scenarios, and we need different paths. Then you now start asking, what path can I take? And that's why, coaches like yourself are important, because then somebody says, hey, this is where I am. Can you help me? Can you coach me? What is that step I take? You can hear it, but you only take the step when you have done the first thing that I have told you you have to do. So I think about the change. Think about what could possibly happen if you let go and if you regain your voice. I always tell myself that if nobody was watching, or if nobody was going to like or comment or this, what is it that I can really post? What is it that can write my heart and put if I was not thinking of opinions, if I was not thinking of anything? That is how you can get out of your trauma. What can this my voice do if I don't allow it to shut down?
Yeah. I love that. Honestly, I love that, because it's something that I've experienced myself, where I've allowed like a particular experience just keep me down and say no, until I just got to that point, I'm very open, but I also feel like I'm very closed. Like I'm vulnerable with specific people. Like I will not, and I feel like this is something like, my co-host on Truth and Tales podcast, Victoria, I admire her so much, because she's just able to like share her experiences and just talk about it. Like I'm like, oh, do you know what you're doing? But for me, I'm not. I don't do that. And I still consider myself a very open person. If you're in my circle, I talk a lot, and I share a lot. I share more than. But then I've gone through seasons in my life where she's just. I've gone through seasons in my life where what has made me closed has really made me closed. I was talking, but then I realized that I've been closed a lot more because of certain situations in my life. And you're very right. And I can even link back to what you said earlier about, finding people, finding like-minded people. And I remember there was one time I had this feeling for the longest time that I have issues with women. I've never had a woman figure stay in my life for so long, and that made me feel rejected. So I don't know how. I just linked it to me feeling rejected and feeling like no woman wants to stay with me. Like it was never about me, but that's just what I kept telling myself, that these women had never stayed. And it wasn't about me, honestly. My mom died, so it wasn't like she didn't want to stay. My stepmom and dad had issues, and everything just happened like that. But I kept owning it. I kept personalizing it, make it feel like, it's my thing. It's a thing that has to do with me. But I remember, just speaking to one of my friends as well. She's also in this meeting. And, telling her that I have issues with women and I don't like to listen to women teachers. I would rather, like, there are very few women leaders. I think I have a problem with women. And she told me that you don't have a problem with women. And I'm saying it because I just want us to to understand that everything you've said and we are still saying, it makes so much, like, it's practical. And I remember she telling me that you don't have a problem with women, you're attracted to teachers, not women. You like people that teach. And when she said it, she probably did not know that what she said carried so much weight to me. But she said it, and I thought about it. Wait, and I looked back and I realized that, wait, it was never about me. These women never left. They didn't stay. They didn't stay, not because they wanted to leave me, or they didn't, like, it was never really about me. So why am I just allowing it to put me down? Why am I allowing it to control? Like, why am I owning it? Like, they just don't like me, And yeah, I'm just like trying to like relay everything you've said. The lady's here, her name is Bisola. And I remember that particular thing she said to me. She probably did not know that it would mean anything to me, but I took it and I just pondered about it and I realized, oh, that's true, And yeah, I don't want to like talk to, because I can go on and on and on. Yeah, go on, please.
Yeah, you've just said something that I just want to throw more light to, and it makes total sense, when we carry certain things. And one thing I also want to just say also, well, it goes back to what we're saying, that knowing who you are and owning what you are. I will say it's also okay not to feel okay sharing like your friend. Because when we also push ourselves to do certain things when we are not ready, it will come up as for somebody that is doing it naturally. Have you ever seen a YouTuber who is trying to fake to be a very excited person when that is not really them? It turns you off. I'd rather even listen to somebody who is counting their words and I can tell that that's just who they are, than someone who is trying to hype and that hype is not really them. So I think that, because let me tell you, yesterday is an instructor and your tomorrow, is the hope. Yesterday instructs you. So from experiences of yesterday, it kind of shapes how you behave, how you talk. It has also helped you to know that I can put boundaries and I can take my time. Now, I always say that I have an issue if you build walls to bound yourself in. But if it is boundaries improve, boundaries change from season to season. Give yourself that time to grow to the place where you do something when you are comfortable with. When I even just started my YouTube channel, I did not want to, even social, even till now, it's not, I'm very careful with some things that I even used to tell anybody in my house, you take a picture standing in my house and showing some kind of thing, you are not putting it on social media because I want my privacy. But I allowed myself until when I had a reason where in my heart, I know why I am standing here, I'm doing this. And I put it out there and I'm not having any regret or doubt or shakiness or feeling like I'm doing it. I'm saying because there's also this expectation out there. Introverts generally sometimes are looked upon like they're not nice people. And it's like when you're extroverted, then you're more of a people person, you are a nice people. I know a lot of selfish extroverts. I'm sorry to use that word, yeah. But their selfishness or self-centeredness does not show because they're everywhere making all that noise, but they will really not be there for you. And I know introverts that may look like that to themselves, always in their corner. They look more like they're self-centered, but they are those people who will go extra mile for you. So sometimes we also have to be very careful that we are not trying to work on ourselves to fit into an expectation out there. It should be because I have seen that this is not who I am. I'm making this change because this is not who I am. Something has brought me to this place. And sometimes you don't even know who you can really be until you take off that stumbling block. Then you may realize that you're not even that extra, but you're just something else altogether. So I think what you've shared is really true. At times, what we carry behind, and along can really affect how we see things, the people that we are attracted to, and things like that. But I think we should give ourselves grace and time to come to a place where you do things with conviction. Then it shows.
Yeah, grace and time to do things from a place of conviction. Okay, so there are some questions that I really want to. There's one. I'm going to read out the two, and then because I'm feeling like we've spent time, but at the same time, I want us to like really get to the bottom of it. So there's one question here. If you're in a place where your voice is constantly being silenced, like what do you do when you're in a place where your voice is constantly being silenced? And it's also like it relates with the other question as well, where the person asks, how do you let go of regrets to live a better life, especially when you're in an environment that keeps reminding you of your mistakes? So on one hand, I think both of them are related to the environment. One, you're constantly being silenced, and the other one, how do you now let go of regrets, especially when you're in a place that it constantly reminds you that, oh, this is who you are. How do you now like move forward? Yeah, I want us to touch on that.
Okay. I would say that I would go back to what I said before. It may look like an insignificant step, but until you take it, you see how significant it is. One thing that gives your external environment power to affect you is how your internal environment is like. If you yourself is still carrying the shame and guilt, you give your external environment the power to keep shaming you. But that's why I said growth starts from within. If you yourself, first of all, already, the power that the external has on you is because you yourself are still bowing your head down. I've seen where people move away and say, people are judging me, people are looking at me this way. But when you go deep down to start talking, I've actually spoken with a client like that. I realized that all the things that he was saying that people are saying was actually him saying it to himself. And when the moment that you yourself make peace, the moment that you yourself make peace with it and say, you know what? You people say, oh, I was careless, I didn't go to school. I've made peace with that. You told me not to marry this man, married. I've made peace with that. You told me to do this and I chose to do that one. I've made peace with that. You told me to make this decision. I did not make it. You told me not to make this decision. I made it. Until you come to a place, when you make peace with it, it shows. Have you ever seen somebody who keeps taunting you and each time you see them, you're afraid, each time you see them, everything. And the next time they try it, it's like it just went through you and went at the back. They try the second time it goes through, they stop. Sometimes when we work on our own self and you grow, like I'm saying, just grow. I'm talking especially about us women. When you yourself have experienced a certain growth, I'm not saying that turn now and become this arrogant person, because many times we try to take back that freedom, take back that thing by using arrogance. Let me go get money. Let me be this way and be arrogant and take it by force. When you are truly a different person, The outside voices will not stop overnight, because even you going through that growth person doesn't happen overnight. But with time, you would see that that person is not the same. Bullies with time see that the person that have been bullied cannot be bullied, but they will still try. They will still try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. But then they'll see that this person has changed. This person has stood their ground. So the secret lies in knowing who you are, making your own growth, and start changing your own story. By the time somebody keeps looking at your past, trying to look at your mistakes and rub it on you, because I had a video that I even put up around the Easter time where I said that we humans have the tendency to punish wrong. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And we do the same thing to even to ourselves. Why should I feel free after I made this type of a big mistake? Why should I even find love if I destroyed somebody else's love life? Why should this happen to me if I did this, right? And somewhere we feel like playing the victim card makes us holy. Keep feeling sorry for myself, you know. No. I don't think God is proud to see that you are wallowing in your sin. No, he is proud and happy to know that you have gotten up and saying, Father, thank you for the forgiveness. Thank you for the restoration. Thank you that you don't see me through the eyes of this mistake again. Then he's like, wow, now you're accepting my gifts. You're happy with my gifts. You're celebrating my gifts. So you have to make sure, first of all, that you yourself are not the biggest voice blaming yourself first. Now, when you have done that and make sure that, and again, it doesn't happen overnight. See, growth does not happen in one day, but growth happens daily. Take that step until you can, you yourself, forgive yourself. I always don't even like to use that word, forgive yourself, because we don't really have the power to forgive ourselves. We have already been forgiven. We just have to receive it by faith and live it out. When you keep making like you deserve what people are saying about you, you deserve, start trying to justify, trying to explain that. Have you ever seen where somebody has not even said something, you're already trying to explain because you think that they'll be thinking this way? You sell yourself short. No, if you don't owe an explanation, you don't owe it. The people you owe explanation to, you do it. So the first thing I want to, as I'm saying, is that personally accept your mistake. If you made a mistake, know that it's in the past. Tell yourself, I want to move on. Secondly, take responsibility. If it is something that you need to physically talk to somebody that you're wrong to, take the responsibility. And one thing is, I always tell people is that when you're going to tell somebody that you're sorry or whatever, don't always be expecting that they will jump and hug you like the prodigal son's father and say, thank you for coming. You are people you can say that you're sorry and roll on the floor, they will not even look at you. Somewhere I always say that just consider that they are also still going through their own journey to heal from that hurt, to heal from the consequences of that mistake that had to do with them. And sometimes those mistakes even have to do with you, and other people carry it upon themselves. You know, somebody had hurt me and another friend kept carrying it. And I told the person, I said, see, I'm ready to move on from this thing. Thank you for feeling this pain for me. Thank you for standing with me. Thank you, but I am ready to move on. Don't bring it up again. They didn't. Because somewhere, some people also like you to stay where you are. When you're healing from something, it's like it's bothering them. So another tip is that make people know that, hey, I've accepted it. These are the things that I have taken to take responsibility, or I have a plan to take responsibility for this mistake. It may work out, it may not work out. Maybe you made a big mess, some financial mess, or you did some, I don't know, whatever that mistake was. I have taken responsibility. Verbalize it. If it is somebody that deserves for you to verbalize it to them. If not, don't try. You don't have to keep working and explaining yourself to people who you don't have to be explaining yourself to. If it is somebody in your life that deserves that explanation, say, hey, I did this thing. I've made peace with God. I've made peace with myself. I've come to make peace with you. And I feel that there's a part where I can take responsibility. This part I can't. This I will take responsibility in this way. And I am moving on from here. And then let them watch you move on. Let them watch you move on. That voice will be shut off. But now saying that you're in an environment where people are keep reminding you and keep saying it. If it is a physical, if it is friendships and things that you can distance yourself, please do. You have to. Please do. If Jesus could even just take himself away from his disciples a little bit, and those are the people, so he can go achieve something, accomplish something. Move away from that environment. But if it's a physical environment, like we said earlier, it's an external noise that you cannot, just amplify your own voice. Amplify your own voice that is affirming you above the voice that is putting you down. amplify your voice if it's this thing. And another way I would say it is that get professional help, because it's difficult for me to answer specifically because it's under the cover of mistake. If you talk to me and it's a specific thing, then I can know what is that step to take. But it's on a broad topic. I don't know what that mistake can be. So it's difficult to get a specific first step that somebody can take. But in general, the first step would be acknowledging that you make the mistake, acknowledge and taking responsibility. Now start growing from within and make it clear and known. You know, you will silence that external voice that keeps bullying you over something that you have moved on from. They will see it themselves that it doesn't bother you. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. It makes, you know, like, even me, I was getting something from that. I was getting something. And there's one question that was sent to me now. And the person said, looking back is scary and painful. You know, you mentioned that, you know, when you were talking about some of the things that you did, you said you had to look back at how you've been using your voice. And now this person is saying that looking back is scary and painful. I'm probably thinking maybe the past is ugly or something like that. How do I do it fearlessly? Like, how do I look back and let go? Looking back is scary and painful. Like, how do I look back fearlessly and let go? Honestly,
the past is something that, to be honest with you, is one of the biggest strongholds. One of the biggest strongholds, like to let go. That's why if you're here and you haven't married, sometimes you have a little misunderstanding. You want to bring up something that happened on Monday, last week or Saturday, right? We just have this thing where even when somewhere we're moved on from something, we want to kind of hold on to it. Again, this question will still kind of round me back to what I had said, that look back just once, right? To acknowledge that it happened. Look back just once to write what you feel was the lessons you have learned from it. It's just like you said that now you're beginning to put certain boundaries. It may look to somebody that it is trust issues. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's just boundaries that people, but then as you're growing, you're improving on those boundaries. That those boundaries are coming from experiences that you have had in the past. So looking back, again, like I said, to see how you used to be, who you used to be, or things that have happened to you. Some people look at the past and they're able to see strengths, they're able to see who they had been all along. But some people you can look behind, and I've said again that your past is an instructor. What is my past teaching me? What is it telling me about me? Because to be honest with you, I do a lot of self-reflection. I will encourage this individual to kind of do some journaling. I know journaling is one of these big things when they say people think of, I have to buy this fancy book, look for a cup of coffee, I must have this beautiful room that I go and sit. No, I don't journal every day, and it's not every day that I journal in a quiet place. Sometimes I just jot things down. If I'm taking a long ride somewhere and I really don't want to be scrolling on my phone, I just put my thoughts down. And later on, I kind of look at it. Just say that, what has it shown you about you? Many times when I reflect, I really see some things where, like I said before, where I may have even blamed people, but I see that there is something about me that I need to also work on, you know. So I honestly would want to still answer this question in a very similar manner, that try to draw, it's difficult, it's painful. Try to draw that, what have I learned? Because somebody would like, I don't want to say the good that came out of it, because there's just some situations that happen and like, good, what good can really come out of this? What good thing can be in this thing? So I'm not going to use the word good. I like to use more of what is a lesson, an instruction. What awareness is it giving you, about somebody, about a place, about an environment, about human beings in general? Take that awareness and you'll be surprised what that awareness alone will do to you. I think experiences reveal to us more about us than about people, because there's some things I cannot really get into people's head to understand why, where, and how they even started to do something like that. But me, when I take time to reflect, I get more aware of who I am, how I think, how I reason, what my defense mechanisms are, my tendencies, how I tend to react to things. Just recently, I realized that I was a big runner away from things. Like, if something's going to overwhelm me, chances is I'll run away. And I'm thinking I'm this very bold woman, you know? So sometimes those little awareness makes you, and I started saying that, Chantal, what are the measures I'm going to put down to ensure that when things scare me, I don't run away? But that's something that nobody, again, it is experiences that have made me to see that some of my mistakes, some of my things is avoidance. I have that spirit of avoidance, which has costed me something. So I would just encourage this individual that even though it is painful, think about what it is doing to you and think about what getting out of it will do to you. Ask yourself, what has this thing taught me about me, who I am? And then leave it there and say, okay, now that happened, but what do I want to change? That's one thing. That's a question I ever had here that I did not get to say it. Ask yourself, what is the biggest change I want to see and why? Let this individual ask themselves that question. This thing happened. What is the biggest change I want to see and why? Then start moving forward to what can I do to serve this change? Before you know, the voice of your past would instead of it being a voice of pain, it will be a voice of transformation for somebody else. That's why I don't rush people to say, take your story and go and tell everybody because they went through something, they just want to go on social media and they call it vulnerability. Let me just go and say it there. You know? No. People have to go through a journey. Sometimes people's past is not yet an inspirational story. They don't yet see how what good comes out of it. So allow yourself that space and time to go through your journey. Maybe tomorrow you're not even, many people think that because I went through something, my purpose is found in it. Your purpose may not even be found in it. The purpose what you went through may just have been there to build you and give you courage for something else that you have been called to do. So ask yourself those questions. And then again, I always go back to the fact that seek help, because when you now specify it, someone can help you when it is specific.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Honestly, I don't think there's any more question. I've not received any other question, but I just want to touch on that last question. And I would say that just like you said, that the past is an instructor, and I think that's so powerful. The past, from the way I look at it, I always say that our experiences are so important. Our experiences are so important, and like we did in the game earlier, experience is something that everybody has. Whatever, somebody might be richer than you, somebody might have more resources than you, somebody's voice might be louder than yours, somebody might have done whatever it is that they are doing, but one thing both of you have in common is experiences. So that's the way I try to look at it, that this is something that I have, this is something that I've walked through, is my experience. I can either decide to look at it as, it's exposing something to me, it's exposing the truth about myself to me, just like you have said, it's showing me something, and I'm just going to take it like that. It might show me, my purpose. It might lead me to that journey of self-discovery. It might lead to a place of lesson. It might just lead to something, but I know that my experience is very important and valuable. And I was just like, sometimes, I like what you said about, constantly doing that self-reflection. I think the more you do it, the more you become confident at looking at the past. Because the very first time I had to deal with the past, I mean, like, there's so many things, like I was saying about, looking back at the issues with my relationship with women. There were things that I never want to address. If people that knew me, when I talk about, the death of my mom and the pain that was hidden inside inside of me with that experience, and when I talk to people about losing my mom, I talk about it casually and I'm just laughing about it, like, oh, I lost my mom early. Like I was telling myself, I don't want anybody to pity me, I don't want anybody to look at me like, but I just say casually. But it was a really big deal. Like, it was like, recently when I started to deal with those issues, I can just be lying there and I'm crying. My husband just got tired. I'm just be like, oh, I wish my mom was here, or I wish I had somebody to just pamper me, or I wish I had somebody all through my journey when I was being strong for myself, when I was teaching myself, when I was really, I wish somebody told me all that. And I would just be there crying and just, but then I look at it and, going through that healing process, yes, it was tough to look back and do all those things. But the more I go back now and look at my experiences, the more I'm not like, it's not like I'm saying that you just have this defense or anything. No, the more I go back, the more it exposes me to the truth. The more I see it as an instructor, like you said, the more I see it as, just exposing me to the truth about my journey, and I'm able to pick up something. I no longer see it as, the very first time, yes, it will weigh me down, it will do it, but over time, I talk about it, and I talk about it well, the way I want to talk about it, and I let it go. And it's still a journey. So just look at your experiences as, something that is just what you have. It's a gift. It's something that you have, and you should just make the most of it. Just make the most of it in your current time. That's just what I would say. And is there any question? Anybody wants to say anything? No? All right, I feel like we've taken a lot of time today, but if you have any questions, if you want to reach out to Shanti, if you want to, if you need that help that you feel like she's going to give you that clarity on, you want to reach out to her, I'm going to drop an email in the chat right now, shantibloom2@gmail.com. And I think I've added it in the workbook as well, but I'm not sure if a lot of people have that workbook now, but I've added it to the workbook as well. The links to her channel, the links to her Instagram, like all the links to be able to access her will be in the workbook. But then if you don't have it, just reach out to me. I'll give you information if you need to get in touch with her. You can send her an email. The email is right there right now. You just speak to her and, just gain the clarity that you need, seek help. Don't die in silence. Like, this is one part that I'm struggling with, but I'm getting better, just asking people for help, but I'm getting better. I'm really getting better, and I'm so proud of myself and my journey. But anyways, thank you so much. Honestly, I really appreciate you coming and speaking to us. And I'm sure that everybody here has, gotten something. If you guys really feel like you want her to come again for another topic, let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat, okay? So while we are doing that, I'm just going to round up very quickly. We're closing. If you want to reach out to anybody, you want to make connections, we can do that. Just chat with each other in the chat box. And I'm just going to say this in conclusion, that I want us to just change or put more effort, be very intentional about the way we think. And I think, one of the ways we can silence the noise that comes from within is the way we allow our thoughts to flow, like the way we allow our minds to wander, the way we allow our thought processes, let me just put it that way, because the way I used to think about my issues, the way I used to think about my voice, the way I used to think about is the way the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so he is, the way we think. I want us to be very intentional about our thought processes, our thought pattern. Do you constantly think of yourself drowning? Do you constantly think of yourself feeling lost? Do you constantly think of yourself as someone who doesn't have it together? Let us change the way we think. You can do better. You can find your voice. You can use your voice. And another thing that I would just say to conclude this session today is to know that when you're still, just like you've said today, when you are still, you're able to hear your own voice. The voice outside should not be louder than your own voice. You're your own stillness. It's only when you're still, when you're like the analogy you give, so profound. I love it. If there's so much noise outside and the noise inside is louder than the noise outside, how do you want to find your voice? But if there's peace and quiet and calm inside, that's when you can even have control over what you can decide that, okay, I'm going to block this noise. I'm going to still this noise, because you already have what it takes. You already have the voice, you already have the calm, you're already in that place, that environment. Honestly, there's a lot to unpack from this session, and I'm going to try to distill the key points into one, and then maybe share it subsequently, maybe via email, or maybe just a short maybe list a book document. Hey, let me put it that way, document, because it's not going to be a book. Just in a document, just highlighting everything. Oh, the voice of excuses, the voice of regrets, wishing. One thing that is very common with me is wishing that I can go back to that moment. I can just go back to that moment and just do something about it. And I feel now I'm powerful. I can go and do something about it. But so anyways, yeah, that's it. Is there anything anybody wants to say? I can see we're already talking in the group. Yes. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you everyone for your time. And we're going to be rounding up here. I feel like we've taken so much time. Thank you very much. And you can also I'll share the workbook. If you want to reach out to me for anything, you need help on anything, please do that. All my information is everywhere. It's like MTN, everywhere you go. Anyways, thank you everyone so much for your time. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the chats. Thank you for everything you did today. And please, can we just give a big round of applause to our guest speaker. You know. Thank you so much. Oh, I can see the clap. Thank you so much. I really appreciate taking your time. Just I might trust in you. Did not it did not fail. Thank you so much. And yeah, good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you in the next webinar or next time. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.